is Jamie, and today I'm going to talk about zero waste period routines and period poverty. I want to start this video by saying that menstruation doesn't only happen to cisgendered women. Oftentimes these conversations exclude trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming folks. This exclusion can really add to their difficulty in finding access to healthcare, period products, and other resources. So I just want to start off this video by reminding everyone that not all cis women menstruate, and not all folks who menstruate are cis women. So for my personal low waste period routine, I primarily use a Diva cup, which is a menstrual cup. And I first bought it back in college. I didn't even get it for any sort of sustainability reason. It was before I really knew anything about sustainability, honestly. But I bought it originally because I was really tired of paying for tampons. It was just getting really expensive, so I thought, okay, I'll save up 30 bucks for this, buy it once, and then it'll last me 10 years. And then more recently, I bought a pair of period underwear from the company Ruby. And they have a bunch of different styles of period underwear, and they also have leak-proof boxers for anyone more interested in that style. I got the high-waisted kind, but I forget that I'm very short, so something high-waisted on a normal body is gonna like come up to here on me. So I had to alter them a bit to fit me a little bit better, but now they're perfect. And the bottom of the underwear is kind of basically like a reusable pad was sewn in. And I've never been a pad wearer, it's just not my jam. So I don't really wear these during the day just because it feels weird to me. But if you're into pads, it might be a great option, and I personally just wear them at night to prevent any additional leakage. There are plenty of other low-waste period products. You of course have the reusable pads. There are silicone discs that I don't know much about, but I'm happy to do more research and give you all another video on some other zero waste, low waste period products if you want that. There's also other kinds of period underwear. And then for those who aren't super interested in the reusables, there are certain tampons and pads that are better for your body that I'm also happy to go into. Yeah, let me know if you want another video about some other zero waste companies and products. So we can't talk about periods without talking about period poverty. If you don't know what period poverty is, it refers to the inadequate access to menstrual hygiene products and education, like sanitary products, washing facilities, and waste management. Being able to afford reusable period products is kind of a luxury, especially when so many folks are unable to afford any period products. There was a 2017 UK study that found that 1 in 10 young folks ages 14 to 21 who menstruated were unable to afford period products. Another study found that in sub-Saharan Africa, periods caused school children to miss about 20% of their schooling each year, because they were afraid of going to class without the proper hygiene products they needed. And here in the US and many other countries, a lot of school children face the same issues. A US study that just happened 2 years ago found that of the menstruating folks who participated in the study, 64% of them were unable to afford sanitary products, and 46% of them could not afford both sanitary products and food. These products should be accessible and affordable because so many of us menstruate, but if you have a tight budget and you have to pick between a $9 box of tampons and more food for the week, you're gonna pick the food. Not having proper period products can not only cause someone to miss work or school, but it can also have some pretty dire consequences on your overall health. Sometimes people don't have the correct products, so they use rags or towels to soak up their blood. And if they're not properly washed, then bacteria is going to start to form, and it's going to cause vaginal and urinary infections. And these people might not feel safe enough to ask for medical help, so then these infections will go untreated. Additionally, like I said earlier, conversations around menstruation tend to assume a person's gender, which is problematic and unhelpful. The cost of period products can be a big barrier for a lot of people, and it can cause folks to miss school or a job interview, and in turn affect someone's overall economic advancement. Members of the LGBTQ community are much more likely to live in poverty than cisgendered heterosexual folks, with trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming folks of color hit the hardest. Transgender, non-binary, and gender non-conforming folks also have the additional hurdle of gendered bathrooms. If someone using the men's restroom is menstruating, there isn't always a place to throw away any of the trash that is produced when using non-reusable menstruation products. And literally just creating the sound from unwrapping a tampon or pad in the men's room can pose a threat to one's safety. On the other hand, if someone is using the women's restroom and their gender is assumed to be male, that can also pose a threat to their safety. Another issue that I've been reading about is the fact that a lot of trans, non-binary, and gender non-conforming folks can experience gender dysphoria when it comes to their menstruation, especially because it is almost always considered a women's issue, or because their menstruation or lack thereof doesn't line up with how they wish their body functioned. I'll put a few links below where a couple of trans folks talk about their experience with menstruation. Just briefly, in another realm here, some folks have endometriosis or PCOS, which greatly affects the menstruation cycle. And we don't talk about these issues a lot, but they can really affect periods and fertility. So, to recap, there are both trans men who do get periods and also cis women who do not get periods. And there are many other folks with their own individual experiences with menstruation, and we can't erase any of those experiences. There are many organizations that are providing menstrual products and education to folks around the world and working to end period poverty. I will link a few of those below, and also be sure to check out any that you're particularly interested that I haven't listed below. Always good to do your own research. So if you have time or money to donate, either one's great, then I think that's a great way to start. There's an app called Refuge Restrooms, which I'll link below, and you can add and search for gender neutral restrooms. So you just put in your address or whatever address you're at, and then a list pops up of all the gender neutral or non-gendered bathrooms in your area, and you can see people comment on it, they rate it, so you can see if it's a nice bathroom at all. And then you can also put directions in, so saying like, okay, you're at this building, and if you go all the way down the hall to the right, that's where the bathroom is, so that you're not like wondering where in this building is your restroom. So while there are bathroom bills in effect, unfortunately, all over, I hope this app, and let me know if there are others too, other resources like this. I hope that they're helpful. And because it's not a big structural change, I will also say my last tip here is to vote and advocate with your voice if you are able to. Vote and support people who will fight for LGBTQ rights, both when it comes to bathroom bills and access to healthcare. No one should be afraid to seek medical professional help or be turned away because of who they are. So please vote and advocate for closing the LGBTQ health disparity gap. For some people, periods are just an annoying thing that happens every month, but for many people, periods are huge hurdles and can really affect one's well-being. And just keep talking about it. We gotta end the period stigma somehow, so we gotta just keep talking about menstruation and keep advocating for safe hygiene practices all over the world. And the less stigma there is, the more resources there will be, and maybe someday there won't be a luxury tax on feminine hygiene products. But yeah, keep talking, keep advocating, keep donating your time and money if you can, and let's try to help menstruating folks everywhere. And again, don't forget to like this video and subscribe and hit the little bell. Thanks y'all, have a good day. Bye. First off, I want to start off this this